December 6, 1969. Mick Jagger stands on stage at Altamont Speedway as chaos erupts just meters in front of him. Through the darkness and confusion, he can barely make out what's happening in the crowd. People are screaming. The Hells Angels are swinging their fists and pool cues. And somewhere in that mass of bodies, a young man is being stabbed to death. The cameras are rolling. 300,000 people surround the violence, and there's nothing anyone can do to stop it. This is the moment the 1960s died. This is the day the Rolling Stones learned that peace and love was just a fantasy. Before we dive into this nightmare, do me a favor and hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel because I'm bringing you the darkest and most dramatic stories from rock history, the stories they don't want you to know. Now let's get into what really happened at Altamont. 4 months earlier, Woodstock had defined a generation. 500,000 people came together in peace and music and proved that the counterculture dream could work. The Rolling Stones weren't there, and Mick Jagger felt like he'd missed the defining moment of the decade. So the band decided to do their own free concert. Something bigger, something better, something that would cement the Rolling Stones as the greatest rock band in the world. They wanted to create Woodstock West, a free concert in San Francisco that would end their American tour with a celebration of everything the 60s represented. But the people organizing this concert made one catastrophic decision that would turn the dream into a nightmare. They brought in the Hells Angels as security. The concert was thrown together in less than 3 weeks. That should have been the first warning sign. Woodstock took months of planning and hundreds of staff. Altamont was organized in a panicked scramble. The original venue fell through 2 days before the concert. They moved to another location. That fell through too. Finally, with just 1 day to go, they settled on Altamont Speedway, a barren strip of land in the California desert surrounded by brown hills and dirt. There was no infrastructure, no proper stage, no medical facilities, no security plan. The stage was built so low that the crowd could literally reach out and touch the performers. And then someone in the Stones organization made the decision that would haunt everyone involved for the rest of their lives. The suggestion came from people connected to the Grateful Dead who'd used Hells Angels at free concerts in San Francisco before. The Angels would stand at the front of the stage and keep people back. They wouldn't hurt anyone. They'd just look intimidating enough that the crowd would stay under control. The Stones organization agreed. The payment was beer and a small amount of cash. That's it. That's what they paid the most violent motorcycle gang in America to control 300,000 people, beer and pocket change. December 6th arrived and the crowd started pouring in at dawn. By noon, there were 100,000 people sprawled across the dusty hillside. By mid-afternoon, there were 300,000. They came in cars and buses and vans, parking anywhere they could find space for miles around. They came expecting Woodstock. They came expecting peace and love and good vibes. What they got was hell. The Hells Angels arrived in force. Their motorcycles lined up in front of the stage like a barricade. They wore their leather jackets and chains and brass knuckles. They drank beer from the moment they arrived, and as the day wore on, they drank more and became more and more aggressive. They weren't security guards. They were a gang defending their territory, and anyone who got too close to their motorcycles or tried to climb on stage became the enemy. The violence started early. The first band hadn't even finished their set when the Angels started hitting people. Someone bumped into a motorcycle and got a pool cue smashed across his face. A girl tried to dance near the stage and got punched and dragged away by her hair. A guy climbed on stage and 4 Angels tackled him and beat him unconscious while the band played on. Mick Jagger was backstage and he heard about the violence, but he didn't see it yet. He thought it was just a few isolated incidents. He thought it would calm down. He was wrong. Jefferson Airplane took the stage in the late afternoon and the violence escalated. Marty Balin, the lead singer, was performing when he saw the Angels beating someone in the crowd. He stopped the song and jumped off stage to try to help. An angel punched him in the face and knocked him out cold. The band stopped playing. The crowd started screaming. For a moment, it looked like the whole concert was going to explode into a riot. The Grateful Dead were supposed to play next, but when they arrived and saw what was happening, they refused to go on stage. They loaded their equipment back in the truck and left. They knew this wasn't going to end well. The sun was setting when the Rolling Stones finally took the stage. Mick Jagger walked out and looked at the sea of faces stretching into the darkness. He could feel the tension. The crowd was angry. The Angels were drunk and violent. The vibe was completely wrong. But he was Mick Jagger, and this was supposed to be a celebration, and he was determined to salvage what he could. The band started playing. They opened with Sympathy for the Devil, and almost immediately the crowd surged forward. The Angels started swinging their pool cues, cracking skulls and breaking bones. People were screaming and fighting and trying to get away, but there was nowhere to go because there were 300,000 people packed into that space. Mick Jagger stopped the band. He pleaded with the crowd to calm down. He said, "Brothers and sisters, why are we fighting? We can work this out." But his voice was lost in the chaos. The Angels didn't care what Mick Jagger said. They kept swinging. The band started and stopped multiple times in the next hour. Every time they tried to play, another fight would break out. Mick Jagger was losing control, and he knew it. This was supposed to be their Woodstock. Instead, it was turning into a war zone. But the worst was still to come. His name was Meredith Hunter. He was 18 years old. He came to the concert with his girlfriend wearing a bright green suit because he wanted to look good. He wanted to have a good time. He pushed his way toward the front of the stage because he wanted to see the Rolling Stones up close. That's when the Hells Angels noticed him. They didn't like the way he looked. They didn't like that he was black in a mostly white crowd. They didn't like that he was getting too close to their territory. One of the Angels shoved him. Meredith Hunter stumbled back into the crowd. He was angry now. He'd done nothing wrong, and these guys had attacked him for no reason. So he did something that would cost him his life. He pulled out a gun. Maybe he was trying to protect himself. Maybe he was trying to scare them off. It doesn't matter because the moment the Angels saw that gun, they attacked. 5 of them rushed him at once. One of them, a guy named Alan Pissarro, pulled out a knife and stabbed him, then stabbed him again, then stabbed him multiple times while Meredith Hunter fell to the ground. The cameras caught it all. The documentarians filming the concert for the movie Gimme Shelter captured the attack on film. You can see Meredith Hunter falling. You can see him trying to crawl away while the Angels keep coming at him. The Rolling Stones were playing Under My Thumb when it happened. Mick Jagger didn't see the stabbing clearly. The stage was low and the crowd was packed tight and the lighting was terrible, and all he could see was movement and chaos just meters away from him in the darkness. Someone shouted that someone had been stabbed, but in the noise and confusion he couldn't fully process what was happening. The band kept playing. They stopped and started again. They tried to hold it together while just meters away from the stage Meredith Hunter was dying. People tried to get him to the medical tent but couldn't push through the crowd fast enough. By the time help arrived, an 18-year-old kid was dead in his green suit. Meredith Hunter wasn't the only casualty that night. 4 people died in total connected to the Altamont festival. 2 were killed when a car ran over them while they slept near the roadway in the darkness. 1 drowned in an irrigation canal. The violence and chaos spread far beyond the stage into the surrounding area where thousands of people were camped out trying to enjoy what was supposed to be a celebration. The Hells Angels rode away into the night. Alan Pissarro was eventually arrested and put on trial for murder, but he was acquitted on grounds of self-defense because Meredith Hunter had a gun. No Hells Angel was ever convicted for anything that happened at Altamont. The whole thing was ruled justifiable homicide. The Rolling Stones flew back to England immediately. Mick Jagger was devastated. This was supposed to be a triumph. Instead, it became a tragedy that would define his career in ways he never wanted. The documentary Gimme Shelter was released a year later and showed the world exactly what happened at Altamont, including footage of the fatal attack on Meredith Hunter. Critics called it the end of the 60s, the death of the hippie dream, the moment when peace and love gave way to violence and chaos. Woodstock had been the high point. Altamont was the crash. Altamont changed the Rolling Stones forever. They never did another free concert. Mick Jagger rarely talks about that day, and when he does, his voice gets quiet and distant like he's trying to forget. Keith Richards said years later that Altamont taught them you can't just throw together a concert and hope for the best. You can't hire a violent gang and expect them to keep the peace. You can't put 300,000 people in a desert with no plan and expect it to work out. The 60s were over, the dream was dead, and it died at Altamont while the cameras rolled and Mick Jagger sang and an 18-year-old kid bled out in a green suit just meters from the stage. That was the day rock and roll lost its innocence. That was the day everyone learned that music can't fix everything. Make sure you hit that notification bell so you don't miss my next video where I'm diving into another dark chapter of rock history. Check out my video on the tragic story of Jimi Hendrix's final days. Thanks for watching. This is the story they never tell you.